Good evening, YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me for another video log on my journey as an ex-Jehovah Witness. Again, I want to thank all the people that come on my channel and listen to my words. When I first started this, I didn't know if I would have many viewers or many subscribers because I have a very busy profession. I have a high profile position. So I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of research outside of what the actual topic is. I don't have a lot of time to actually splice my videos and add a lot of, you know, videos from JW.org or other people's videos. I wish I had more time, but I appreciate the time that I do have. And today, this was a catalyst. My topic today is why the governing body wants to control what you read and what you see. And the catalyst for today's topic was something that I came across from JW.org, and a governing body member was cautioning the members of the Watchtower Tract and Bible Society to be careful what they read and be careful what they view on YouTube. And basically, he was challenging his members and saying, you don't want to get corrupted by reading the wrong message. And that was interesting to me. And because I am a philosopher, among many other things, it made me really think about why they're so concerned about their members reading opposing points of view. As an ex-JW, I encourage people to read the Watchtower, read the Await, read the publications. I don't have any fear of people listening to what I say or listening to my philosophy or listening to my story and comparing it to what they hear from the Jehovah Witnesses and from the self-proclaimed rulers of the religion. And so I came from a few different perspectives. And the first thing that I wanted to talk about was one of the reasons that I believe that the governing body doesn't want their members to read, for instance, Crisis of Conscience. If you haven't gotten that book, that's back in production, and I got a new copy because I moved and I couldn't find it. And I was so grateful because there's some new information. But why would the governing body not want you to read that book? Or what are they afraid of? Why do they want to control you to the point of telling you what you can and cannot read? And it made me think about another video I came across when a governing body member was discussing how they, got to be a governing body member and started talking about how they graduated from high school and then they went into the missionary work, and then they went to Bethel, and they were talking about how they had been, encouraged by some people in the community to go to college. But, then the governing body member started talking about all the things that college does by corrupting you. And I listened to it and I said, I'm glad that we have this recording because this is exactly the issue. College doesn't corrupt you. Actually, college actually refines your mind. It actually takes you to another level of understanding. And if you've ever watched the ExJW Critical Thinker, it actually teaches you critical thinking. But another thing that it teaches you is comparative analysis. And that's the next thing that I wanted to talk about. What is comparative analysis? Well, comparative analysis basically is taking opposing points of view and making a decision who has more merit, comparing them and seeing what they have in common, what is different. And here's the most important part of it: forming your own conclusion. So think about it for a minute, because when I was listening to that governing body member caution people about members of the JW community not to watch certain things, I was insulted for them because they're adults and they have the right to watch whatever they want to watch and draw whatever conclusion they want. If your truth, which is a constant theme that I've talked about, that truth is like water. If you feel good about your truth, then it should be able to be examined critically. And if you feel that what someone else is saying is false, then you have to respect the individual to come to the same conclusion, because it can stand up to what? Comparative analysis, and your truth will stand up to a little investigation and a little bit of of understanding. So I thought about what they were really trying to say. So the governing body member, and it's been more than one, they're trying to manipulate their members. They're trying to control their thinking and they're trying to manipulate them. So here's another part of my criticism of the governing body members trying to tell their adult members who are of sound mind and should have the right to read whatever they want, is that they want to manipulate them to come to the same conclusions that they do. And see, that bothers me, because people are entitled to their own opinion and their own thoughts. I can read a book and I can go and have a book club, and I've had book clubs, and we'll sit around and we'll talk about what our opinion was when we read this book. And let's say you have 7 people in your book club, and every person is going to bring their own interpretation of the story and their own opinion and their own viewpoint. See, that's actually fine. So, one of the reasons that I actually did not like the Jehovah Witness format of preaching and their format of Watchtower study is that they all wanted everyone to come to the same conclusion that the Watchtower and Tract Society decided. You can't have your freedom of thought, and you can't have a different idea about something. I want to tell a little story. As everyone knows, that the 1914 generation change in doctrine has been one of the bigger flubs of the governing body in the Watchtower Tract and Bible Society. However, maybe I'm going to say it was in the 1960s or 70s, there actually was someone in the Jehovah Witness religion who was actually a researcher. And he went back and started doing research on his own. And he wrote some letters to Bethel, and he tried to explain to them that their teachings were incorrect because they were looking, and I believe it was the destruction of Babylon. Don't quote me on that, but there was something that they said happened, and it was incorrect. And because of the way that they were using, certain calculations, he was trying to show them that they were actually incorrect. So this is someone who actually stepped outside the doctrines of the Jehovah Witness religion and did research on his own and wanted to inform them and help them to show them that what you're actually thinking is not correct. Do you know what happened to that brother? He was labeled an apostate. And here's the funny part. So many years later, they actually admitted their mistake. And they actually adopted his research. And I find it interesting. So the only people that are allowed to have free thought in the Jehovah Witness paradigm, in the Watchtower and Bible and Tract Society, is the governing body. And there's a problem with that, because when you are not allowed to have free thought, your individuality is erased. I want every viewer to think about how important it is to make sure that you have ownership of your thoughts and your opinions. Anyone that's ever listened to my videos knows that I always say, don't take my word for it. Research, find out for yourself. Make your own decision. But you do have the right to that. You have the right to watch any YouTube video. You can read any book that you want. Crisis of Conscience. You can read 20 Years of Watchtower Slave. There's so many books out there. And if they're false, it shouldn't change anything. So what is it that they have a problem with? And I think it's fear. It's fear, but it's also oppression. It's oppression of free thought and an ability to make your own decisions, an ability to have ownership of your beliefs. I didn't want to make a long video. I just kind of wanted to continue the conversation. I wanted to talk to everyone and realize and help them to realize how dangerous the governing body is and is becoming. I want people to, if you're a Jehovah Witness and you actually come across my video, listen, I implore you to continue your journey. I was 17 years old. I had not listened to any, they didn't even have YouTube when I left the Jehovah Witness religion. I had not read any book. It was me realizing that this was not what I wanted to believe as an adult. And I actually have the right to do that. But you have the right to read a Watchtower, read an Awake, and have a different set of opinions than what they're trying to tell you. And that there's nothing wrong with that, because you are entitled to your own mind and you're entitled to your own interpretation. And as I mentioned in my example, and that's not the only one, there have been many examples in the Watchtower and Tract Society where people have realized that there was an incorrect calculation, an incorrect teaching, and they went to the elders, they went to the brothers, and they were suppressed. And many of them were labeled apostates. And I want people with an open mind to think about what type of organization, what type of membership in a group that suppresses your ability to think for yourself, that suppresses your individuality. Is this a loving group? is this a controlling group, or is this a group where you're okay as long as you believe what I believe and you say what I say, and you go along with everything that I tell you. And when I was 17, and I was sitting there and they were explaining to me what was going to happen when, Armageddon came and destroyed everybody, and we'd all be believing the same things. And I actually did not think that was a good thing. I appreciate people that see the world differently from me. I appreciate people that have their own mind and their own individuality. I don't want people to just, go along with everything I say. And, I was always asking a lot of questions like, okay, so Armageddon comes, then there's no more need to be Jehovah Witnesses, then, right? Because everyone that's still on the earth is all thinking the same thing. So, you know what I mean? Like, there's something deeply wrong with this at a basic philosophical level. If everyone believes the same thing, and what is that belief? So they're going to live forever, and they're all going to be Jehovah Witnesses, and they're all going to believe that, and that's actually the narrative that you actually want me to accept. It does not make sense, because it's actually asking me to detach from what I know about human nature. And this was even before I studied human nature. We as individuals, we need to be challenged in some way. So I wanted to kind of go back to a video that I had made previously about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And I talked in depth about it, and it's a Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and it's been done by the UN. But I wanted to end this video with Article 18, because I think it's important for people to understand that every human being has a God given right. And Article 18 says that everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This includes freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom either alone or in a community with others, and public or private, to manifest his religion or belief of its teachings, practices, worship, and observance. That's very important to remember. You have the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. And that includes the freedom to change your mind. Don't let anyone take that from you. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll talk very soon.